I like that it tells you. There's a little that little voice there.
We should sample that.
Yeah, recording in progress. I always get nervous, like knowing that there's somebody's recording it. Like,
Being entertaining now.
yeah.
I got the first question, or the first thing I wanted to talk about was the subatomics, the EP you sent me. Uh, that was your first band?
Yeah, that was our so my friend Renee and I, we it's funny, we like kind of learned how to play the guitar together, right? So we both got guitars at the same time, and we both got like really into music at the same time pretty much. And then we started this band. And Renee was really the guiding force of that. But he like somehow got us a bunch of shows and we played shows and like became kind of like these little baby celebrities. It was really fun.
How old were you? Were you like 16 or so?
Yeah, so I started playing like at 14, and then our band like started getting some attention around like when we were 14 or 15. So it was like 2005, but it was just like so funny because we could like barely play our instruments and like we knew nothing, but we just would like rock out really hard and people would like come to the show and be like, "Who are these like 15-year-old kids just like rocking out?"
How did you guys get Peter as a drummer? Peter from Homeshake.
Yeah, so I think Peter came along a little later, so a couple years later into it, because we were like only a band for like a little bit. Like our original drummer, his name was Robbie, and he was also it was a funny mix because he was in like a bunch of they were like hardcore metal bands. It was kind of a funny thing because our scene we would play because we played like garage rock, like stuff like the Gories or the Oblivions or just kind of like rough, kind of not very filtered rock. We could barely play bar chords, and then we're playing shows with like bands that are doing insane metal performances and like shred. They were legitimately shredding, and they're just incredible musicians, by the way. But Robbie was from that metal scene, and he came and played in our band, and he was just like incredible. But it was really funny because he still had some like the metal stuff in our music. So it was almost like listening to garage rock with like new metal fills in it. But to answer the question though, um I think we like kind of met Peter through playing shows. Like we would all play hall shows like when we were 15, 16, and Peter was in this band called The Fronts, and we went and saw them, and just we all became friends right after that. And I think Robbie along the line wanted to become more like in the metal scene, so he left the band, and we were like, okay, let's ask Peter to join. And then Peter kind of came into it and like he fit the vibe of the band so good. And if you check out the band camp, it's like it's all Peter's drums on there, and he's just like the dude's a ripper, like just a complete ripper on the drums.
I didn't even know he played drums, dude. That was crazy to find out.
I think I don't know, don't quote me, but I think he started on drums. Like,
Oh,
because if you listen to his I think it's the Home Shake tape and all that, like he
yeah.
plays all the drums on that, I'm pretty sure. And it's like I always thought he was a really like I don't know how you'd say it, but just had a really cool creative like outlook on how to play drums. Really any music, like he's super talented, like, but I really liked his drumming for sure.
I wanted to also talk about some of these unreleased tracks that kind of call them hidden treasures. Well, unreleased as in they didn't get like officially released, but I think you shared them on like your SoundCloud at certain points, you know. The first one is Take It Slow.
Oh yeah, okay. So that one was so I did Saucy Tasters like as an album I did back in like 2010. And I think Take It Slow was like the last song I recorded. And I just like never ended up putting that out on the I think it was part of the original track listing, but then I just was like, I don't want to include this. I don't want to do that. So I think it was just floating around, you know. I think it came out on Bandcamp originally. And then yeah, so when we re-released it in 2015, I omitted it. So it was like this kind of like lost track. You know, it was floating. Someone posted it on YouTube, I remember. I was like, "Ooh, somebody found it."
The
What?
next song I
Oh
wanted
yeah.
to talk about, the mall. I'm just gonna take a chance and say it's a song about the mall.
Yeah, right on the money. I could see you've done your detective work.
Uh, Other than that, the only thing I know is a video for it recorded or shot by a guy named Evan.
Yeah. So I did two videos with Evan back in the day. I did this one, Find Another Guy, and then after that we did The Mall. And yeah, Evan is like a really talented cinematographer and also just, you know, just an incredible director and editor and stuff like that. I haven't talked to him in years, but he went on to work with like he went to do like crazy projects. He did videos for like Lana Del Rey, Paul McCartney,
Oh wow.
and then I think he did like a Calvin Klein ad or something with like with a Kardashian or something or Justin Bieber. I can't remember, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was crazy to see Evan kind of become this. You know, I think he did a song with Lord too, but it was crazy to see a person that you were in the same scene with just
Hmm.
become, you know, a really prominent force in the industry of, you know, doing music videos. But he's an incredibly talented guy. We shot that all on 16 millimeter film, and he got all the film developed at this really cool processing plant, and like all the colors are like so beautifully like done, and it's vibrant, and it's like the whole time we were doing it, he was just so like dialed into making sure it looked good. He was always doing like color balancing and all sorts of stuff just to make sure it looked good in camera.
Hmm.
And yeah, it was really funny because like I we have this guy who's like an incredible cinematographer, and then there's me who recorded this song like on the most jacked like garbage computer program. So I'm like it's like it's like they took The Godfather, you know, the visuals, and it was written by a 6-year-old. But man, I'm like super proud of that video. I'm like proud of all that stuff. I think I just love that like that vibe of, you know, looking, you know, giving some love to things that people are always constantly pooping on. The mall has been unfairly hated for so long. And I guess also it's a cultural artifact now because malls are kind of going extinct. But yeah, I just I love the mall still. I think it's beautiful. I like being around other people. I don't know about you, but being around other people, kind of nice. By the way, dude, always a pleasure chatting with you. Like, just lovely.
Likewise,
You're
man.
insightful. You're a very insightful young man. Even though we're a couple, we're like 2 years apart, 3 years apart.
Yeah, man, I love chatting with you too, man. I was like, you know what? Don't even mind it. Don't even mind like trying to get the ball rolling again. I mean, it's not like it's a chore.
Well, dude, I really appreciate it. You did me a solid. I'm gonna send you a care package from Canada. Yo, let me see if I got him here. Shit. Yo, am I swearing by the way? I can't even remember.
No.
But I got
No.
I got some Simpsons, like those vintage Simpsons.
Oh man.
Yeah, they're chilling. I'll give you a couple of those, man. I got a couple little like vintage stickers I've been collecting. I got these like scratch and sniff ones that but yeah, I'll send you that. And I got some like records. I got one record that like nobody has that I'll give you.
What?
Yeah, dude. It's like a little bit of a it's like the original you know the Making Love LP? We
Yeah.
did it. Yeah, we did a CD of that. My friend Joe and I. I think we did like 50 or 100 of them. Like nobody bought them. So but it has like 7 songs that I haven't put out. So I'll send that to you. You can have that.
Oh, like yo, is that your wife on the album, dude? I can't.
No, no. This actually that album came out like before on the Mexican summer release. That's me and my wife.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. There is
Yeah,
an
that's
on the Making Love, like the original album, the cover was actually taken by that same guy, Evan. He
oh,
yeah, he was living in Montreal at the time. I think the girl's name is Claire, but I'm pretty sure she works on that editorial magazine in out of Montreal. I'm not sure if it's still going, but yeah.
what's on the original cover for that one?
So like original, like the one that I don't have a lot of copies of, or the Mexican Summer one.
Yeah, the original one that you don't have a lot of copies of.
Yeah, that's that so Evan took that picture and that's that Claire girl.
Oh, is this the girl on it?
Yeah, it's like she's like posing in front of a car. And
Oh,
I remember him sending it. I was like, okay, I'll just use this. But
cool,
then
man. Wow.
it was funny though, like so me and Rochelle, we met in I think 2012 in May. And that year we were just dating a lot, going to a lot of shows. And my friend Samim took a picture of us at a bar. And that's the picture on the Making Love album cover. And it's just like taken on an iPhone 4. It's just like I just love that fact that it's like it's just from a moment when I was at a show. Yeah, it was just really I just love anything that where it's like the production value is super low. It's taken on like something that was kind of cheap and it was just kind of like captures the moment.
Let me see. I wanted to talk about a couple more of these unreleased songs, but I'll just do like maybe one or two more. Nar Vibes. That one's really good. Do you remember that one?
Oh, dude, yeah, definitely. My friend Matt, he played drums in my band and we recorded that song together. He played drums on it and he did like the little background vocals. And yeah, we just like recorded that together one day and I rented a house in Edmonton, kind of it was kind of by the downtown area. And it was like this little baby house. It was like a little shack. And it was like I think it was like 800 bucks a month. And it was just like my first time ever living in a house all on my own. And I had like my drum set in the living room and I had all sorts of gear out. It's where I recorded a lot of stuff. Like I recorded Billy and I and all that stuff in there. But yeah, Matt came over and we recorded that song. And then I don't know where I put that out first. I think it was like on SoundCloud or something. But yeah, Matty is like he's a legend. I freaking love Matty. We still jam. Like I go to his house and we'll just like play music and I'll play on his synthesizer or play on his drum kit and we just take turns playing all the different instruments. And then I'll play with his dog.
Wait, was he the same buddy that you sent me that demo, that recent demo? Was he the one that you collabed with on
No,
that?
no. So that's Renee. So Renee lives out
Oh,
in Montreal now, but we started Subatomics together back when we were like 15.
oh, okay.
But yeah,
And from
I'm
the
trying to I've been sending him demos. Like I've been like, dude, we have to do this. And I think he's down. I just have to get him to thing about Renee is he's like a recording genius. He has incredible recording equipment. I'm pretty sure he has like a like you know like the mixing desks and stuff like that and like tape
Mhm.
machines. He
Yeah.
has like a mixing desk that was used by like Paul McCartney. I'm not even kidding. Like it's like crazy stuff.
God.
Yeah, it's insane, man. And he has incredible gear. But I think I'm gonna go over to Montreal in the summer and I'm gonna like bug him and try and get him. I think he might be in Edmonton too, so but we it was funny because he was going through an old hard drive and just sending me all these old songs. And I ended up taking one of the old songs and doing some vocals on it. And I was like, man, we should like collab and he was getting into it too. And I was like, I think we might do something. So yeah, just been writing that stuff. Hopefully, maybe one day we'll do it.
Sweet, dude, like a little reunion.
Definitely, man. Because the thing about Renee is like he's made so many great recordings, but he's never released them. He's got like it's like a treasure trove of like amazing record and they're all really good. It's just that he's been working on other people's projects, so he hasn't put them out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but dude, I'll send you a couple. He needs to put them out. I told him I was like, dude, if you're not putting these songs out, I'm gonna leak them. I'm gonna put them online.
He's just sitting on them, dude. Like you said, like a little like treasure, like a treasure chest full of goodies.
Yeah, I think he's one of those people, like a real, like a true artist, you know? They don't want to like put out anything that isn't to their level. Like they have a high standard, you know? He's that kind of guy. And yeah, I really have always respected that. I always thought that was kind of the dynamic of our band. Subatomics was like he was the guy who was very he was very thoughtful and had like a lot of integrity with things. And then I was the complete opposite. I was the impulsive, let's do this, let's get this done, raw, let's get it out. So it was a good blend, you know, because I would kind of just force him to get the project done.
There's also another one I saw, sweet bean tape test.
Yeah. Sorry. So I bought this Yamaha 4-track cassette thing off of Reverb. It was like $200 back at the start of COVID. And I was just recording demos in my basement. And I think that was the first one. And I eventually recorded that on my last album that I did, but yeah, that was just kind of like me testing out the machine, making sure it worked, and also just like setting up my little recording area in the basement there. Excuse me.
It's funny because you pretty much answered a question that I was gonna say too. I was like, is there a connection with Sweet Bean on Renaissance? But yeah.
Yeah, totally, man. I just used the demo as a jumping off point for that one.
You remember another one called Suffer?
Yeah, yeah. I recorded that one at my parents' house actually. So before I moved to Vancouver in like I think it was 2017, I recorded I like lived at my parents' house and then I recorded a couple of songs there. And I always love Curtis Mayfield. He's like one of my favorite artists of all time. And there's a demo online of his song. I don't know if he did like a studio version of Suffer as well, but I really like the demo. It's like really the guitar's really cool. It's very like Hendrixy. Like a lot of those like beautiful like chords with the little pull-offs and stuff like ba-di-da-dum. Like really just beautiful melodic guitar playing. And also the bass line on that song is really good. So what I used to do, I would take a song and I would listen to every part and try and re-record it. And that was one of those. Like I did it with Marvin Gaye, Let's Get It On too, but I never posted it because I was like, this is like sounds ridiculous. I was like, this is like not right.
Let's get it on.
I love that song. I freaking love that. The bass on that song, the drums on Let's Get It On, dude. The fills, they're freaking crazy. They're beautiful.
Songs to make whoopee to.
Yeah. Whoopee songs.
Uh, so this one, I saw the comments on it, and they have a lot of people were giving praise for this one, Natural Love.
Yeah, yeah. I recorded that one in Vancouver. We were living in an apartment downtown, and I just recorded that one in our apartment. And I think it was just like a one-off single. We didn't like put it on anything. I just recorded that one. I just remember like at the time, I was really into meditating and I would just meditate all the time and then work on that song. Like I worked on that song for probably 2 or 3 weeks of just trying to get it right. I was trying to make it so the guitars would like interplay together in an interesting way. Almost in a way like you know how like the Strokes do it. Like one guitar will
Mm.
have like the shot like cha 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 and then the other one will have like a melodic line or something. I wanted the rhythms to like play off of each other and
Uh,
it kind of is like jacked, but I've always loved when you have like two guitars kind of doing something, you know? It's just it's almost dude, it's almost like like barbershop quartets. They'll sing separate notes, but then the sum of the notes will create this insane frequency. And it's almost like the sum is greater than the parts. That's kind of what I wanted to do.
And yeah, it's cool to experiment with vocals, but like you said too, like with guitars, like kind of two different two different opposite I guess melodies, but like they kind of fuse together and make kind of like this out of the two comes one or something like that.
Well, 100%, man. I think one of the things, like one of my favorite things of doing music is kind of using harmony. So like having one guitar play a certain note, having another play another, and seeing how they synchronize and that how those notes synchronizing interact over the music itself. I think there's scientific, like incredible stuff with that. That's always been my favorite thing. Like there's this song Lady Red. It was one of the first songs I ever did it on, but it was like there's a lead guitar part, and then I played another guitar part on top of that, and it created this harmonic thing where it was like they were doing this thing together, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna do that." It was almost like vocal harmonies, you know? It
Yeah.
was yeah, just one of those things where you're like, "This is kind of cool. This is magical," you know?
Layers.
Yeah, I got the layers.
um okay, so this one I saw on the description that it wasn't about him, but you titled it after a manager that was at the movies. You worked at the movie theater. You worked at Armando Jones.
Yeah. So I recorded that one. That's actually from the original Making Love album. And I always just loved the name Armando. My manager at Cineplex, or not Cineplex, sorry, Cinema City, his name was Armando. And I was always thought that was a sick name. I was like, Armando, you know? And I would always see Armando. I would always see him later on because he worked at Cineplex afterwards. I don't know if do you guys have Cineplex? You guys have AMC, right? In the
Yeah,
States there.
yeah,
Yeah,
AMC.
it's like yeah, so Cineplex here is like AMC. Just like that, the very normal movie theater. I worked at I worked at a place called Cinema City, and it was kind of like the scuzzy kind of dollar theater where you could go see a movie for like $2. But our manager, his name was Armando, and he was just like the most chill, cool dude. And I always thought he was awesome. And I just, I loved his name. So I took it and I created this character, Armando Jones. And honestly, I think I just left the lyrics very open for interpretation, but it's like Armando Jones, he is not home. I can't remember the lyrics actually, but he's got bills to pay. Armando gets his way.
Did
Just
he
like,
uh did he ever listen to the song?
no, I do have him on Facebook though. I should add him. Or not add him. I should message him and send him the song.
What was I gonna say? So do you remember what year that was when you worked at the movies?
Yeah, I worked there in about 2005. So is it
Oh,
like around the time I was playing with my bands and stuff? Maybe 2004. 2004 to 2007. Yeah. I went from working at the movie theater, I went to the pet store because they were paying 850 an hour. I was making like 750. It's like,
that $1.
dude, it was the biggest regret though. I regretted it so much because when I worked at the pet store, I had to like lift dog food and like pick up like dog crap. We had a bunch of dogs there, and then I had to like clean the hamster cages, and they would like always bite me. And those hamsters, man, they're grumpy. Like if you wake up a hamster, game over. They're also birds. I did not like the birds. Not a fan.
I was gonna transition to talking about Saucy.
Yeah, dude. Ask away, man. Whatever you need.
it's fitting that that album has the cover of a chef on it because I think that album is just chef's kiss. It's just remarkable stuff on there. And even though Bittersweets is my personal favorite by you because that's the project of yours that got me like immersed in your music and was really like, oh, holy shit, like who is this guy? And because of also because of a lot of my favorite songs of yours are on Bittersweets, but Saucy is just one of those like I can play from beginning to end and I'll be like I'll be singing along to the songs and it's just so it's just so easy for me to connect to it because we're talking about nostalgia. It takes me back to like the the earlier days where I was barely discovering like garage rock and indie rock and I mean it's fitting that I want to say that's around the time you released it. I see here it was released like in 2010 or so.
Dude, so what is that, 14 years? That's just like crazy.
Yeah, 14 years, man.
Man. Yeah,
And
no, that album's special to me, man, for sure.
and that's around the same time I was like barely finding all these subgenres of rock and roll, you know, like that are still my favorite and so yeah, it's crazy that I didn't find out about you sooner, but oh well, like here we are now. We're talking about Saucy.
Oh, dude, I'm just like that's like part of the internet that I love is that the music kind of just lives and people can kind of listen to stuff whenever they want. Because I kind of have always believed that like certain music will always live, or maybe it won't. Like it won't live to be like a million years old, but like at least for a couple decades,
Mhm.
just to be able to like have something to show, like an artifact of the time. I just love that about that album. It's like that's like it's a real artifact of that time in my life. And it was like a really special time for me because I was just 20 years old, just making my first thing. And it's very like rough and not perfect, but I think it's really indicative of who I am and like kind of where I came from, because I came from the world of, like punk rock and garage rock and skateboarding and I think that album is kind of like get me getting into like the Beach Boys and Beatles and like all that stuff. That like 70s, 60s, 70s singer-songwriter just trying to like write songs and trying to get a little more sophisticated with different kind of chord patterns and different kind of production techniques and stuff. But also, like my influences were getting a little different too. Listening to more stuff from like the 90s. Also listening to contemporary indie music at that time. Like there were bands out that I really liked. Trying to remember like there's this band called Women. They're out of Calgary, but they were like a really great band at the time. And then I was really into this band called The Drums, who it was like really good pop music. And then there was another one, Best Coast, and yeah, more just kind of that was more like indie rock, but or like almost like surfy. But
Mhm.
I feel like yeah, Saucy is that moment in time, like 20 years old, really loving music, playing lots of shows, hanging out with lots of friends, and it's like it exists now and it's like always going to be something that I can go back to. So it's like giving your future self a gift in a way. But at the same time, I'm like so glad that people listen to it because I'd had no intention of making something that would, be this. I was just making a CD because I wanted to release a CD and like play a show and then release it. That was my goal.
Mhm.
So yeah, just the thought of like that music living on is just really it's really sweet. And I love all those songs. Like they all came from my heart. It was
I
just a really fun time in life for sure.
I honestly feel like I could write like a like an essay on it because that's how much
Really?
I, I'm just because I listened to it so much that I'm like, I even last night I was listening to it and I was writing like a little, uh, I was like writing just a couple sentences to accompany each track as I was going through them. Like it starts off with "Hard to Find," and that one reminds me a bit of like a house show, and it's like a great way to set the tone of the album. Like as the song's playing, you kind of hear like talking in the background. So I guess that's why it gives kind of like a house show vibe to me. Like where you're just kind of walking in and you just hear a band playing and like everyone's, chatting to themselves and enjoying the music. So that's the kind of vibe that I was getting just from that. And then the next song that follows is Gone From Me, and that one follows in that same vein, where it it's kind of like a house show going on, and it's full of energy. And I wanted to ask you, there's a certain point where I can't tell if you're singing "There's No Truth in Your Mind."
Yeah, I'm trying to remember that lyric. Soon you'll find there's no truth in your mind. I just
Mm-hmm.
I think what I was writing about at the time, and please excuse me, this is just off the dome, but it was almost like everybody's going to interpret reality in their own way, and in that there is no truth, like what you might conceive it, what you might think the truth is to another person, that is not the truth. Because
Mm-hmm.
I've had so many times in my life, and I think I was coming to that realization as a young guy where like I thought one way and things were one way, but in reality they weren't. And it took time to get there. And I think it's just more so an admission of that. But the lyrics on that album are super, I kept them super loosey goosey and abstract because I just really love art where like you can kind of draw your own conclusion and create your own kind of picture. And the thought of like you having this experience with Hard to Find is like it makes me so like happy. That's so cool.
And I also love the line in "Gone From Me." More will come if you let it go from your life.
Yeah, so like basically it's almost like when we're talking about when you're at work and something makes you upset, if you let go of that and open your mind, you'll you can interpret and go out and find things instead of like closing yourself off and not being open. Because I think like whenever you're subjected to pain or to hard circumstances, I think your main main way of coping, mine is just to like shut things out. So yeah, it's more so just like a I think when I was writing it, I was just like doing a little therapy sesh.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That it kind of feels like you're you're playing like a fun song, but like lines like that was kind of like deep.
Totally. Well, it's funny because like sorry, I keep drinking these Cokes and they make me burp. I'm really sorry. But I've always like always made music where like I wanted to explore that kind of stuff. Like doing a song where you're like where you're calculated and you're trying to get to a point. It just like never appealed to me. Like a song about like I'm gonna go to the club and we only got one night left. Let's go to the club and dance. It's just like I don't that doesn't really like I don't feel like doing that. But I always felt like trying to piece together abstract thoughts and vibes. And yeah, also, there's a juxtaposition to having a song be one way and then the lyrics maybe clash with it, just
Mhm.
things that make it interesting. It's almost like the harmony of it, or the dissonance. I think that's part of the art form, is like as much as a note over a chord, it's almost like a word over a over a musical idea. It's just like there's layers of different things. That's always been the intriguing element for me is like the layers, like the relationships. Like if the bass tone is like this and the vocals are like this, it's just fun.
And Find Another Guy's the next one after that. And that one is just like angsty garage rock at its finest. Won't Hide Her from Sin comes after, and that one it mellows down a bit from Find Another Guy to like a more like a lighter indie ballad.
Yeah, definitely. Like a little different vibe for sure. Still kind of like lo-fi recorded, very, very like funny, but yeah, just a different vibe. I don't know what that song's even about, to be honest. I think it's maybe about like when you're in a relationship, um, part of the relationship working is the fact of like accepting somebody's flaws. I think that's maybe what the sin is, but I don't know.
You're just like I just wrote it, but I don't know.
No, 100% though. I think, I that's like my method of making stuff is like I don't really have a answer.
Yeah, and it's not like you need to for like all your for all your songs like to have like some I don't know, like just some overall theme or like answer to like what the song is about. Like it could be up for anyone's interpretation, you know?
Totally. Like I think there's certain music where sorry. I think there is certain music where like that is part of it. Like it needs to have like a beginning, middle, end. It needs to have the context. It needs to make sense. I
Mhm.
think that's more of like a commercial thing. But I feel like Saucy is like outsider art. It's just some guy like in his room, you know? Like I was like pretty inspired by Daniel Johnson. I'm not sure if it was before or after this album, but I remember finding him and being like, okay, this is like exactly what I want to be. It's just like this person who is making music and doesn't care. Like,
Mhm.
and then obviously my career kind of, or my musical journey went in a different direction, but like we were talking about, Bittersweets kind of picks up where Saucy left off kind of vibe. So,
Fell Through the Cracks. That one it returns to like that pace with catchy garage punk. That I love that little what would you call it? I guess it's not a chorus. It's more like that do 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 do. And I like how you end that one. Fell through the cracks. You're like, that's all she wrote.
yeah, there's just like a lot of random, like just shouting. I think dude, when I'm recording, I don't know if you get this, but like I get into like a vibe where I just kind of get a little bit nuts, where I'm like, "Ah," and I just get like a little just hyper, I guess. But yeah, a lot of shouting and a lot of little silly things.
Yeah, because you're like elevated. You're aware that you're creating something at the moment. So and obviously you're having fun. So you're just having a ball with it. And it's cool to like include those little like shout outs or just random little tidbits.
I always love that in songs, like when they have little things, little Easter eggs or little studio anomalies.
Right. Like when they start out a song like that too.
Yeah, like if there's a false start or I just love that about recording. It's kind of funny, like music, they're like, we have to get this, it has to be perfect. But I'm like,
Mhm.
I really like when there are screw ups and stuff. There's a really good YouTube channel called You Can't Unhear This, but it's like Beatles, and it's like they go through all the old Beatles songs and they like kind of point out all the mistakes in the song, and then once you hear it, you're like, whoa, every time I listen to Helter Skelter, I hear this, or like it's just a really cool thing. And I think that's a cool aspect of older recordings is that they are pretty imperfect and they have these, a lot of funny stuff and a lot of cool little glitches and stuff. Whereas music today, you can kind of just edit it out if you wanted.
I can't change. All I wrote for that one is like song I wish I wrote.
So I Can't Change was like I got my friend Tyler, I took his bongo drums and I remember I was like, I'm gonna have a song with some little bongos in it.
That was legit the next thing I was gonna ask. I was like, is that bongos?
Yeah, dude, I want to get some like good bongos. I want to do that on the next album. Bongos are the best. I love drums.
And then for please don't say my name. For that one, I wrote down it's like that awkward moment, but I think what I was trying to say is like that awkward moment where I guess you're trying to move on from someone or like you're kind of like in the towards the end of a relationship and we're like kind of just want to move on or something.
100%, man. The I'll give you a little behind the scenes on that one. The first verse is about a dude I hated, and then the second was about a girl that I didn't like. But that was like a thing. I was like, I want to do one verse about one person and then one verse about another person, and then I'm gonna make it seem like it's the same person. Like it was just kind of, I was like, I'm gonna do what I want. It was more like generalized, It was like, and it's also just a song about moving on from them and just saying like, I'm gonna forget your name. I'm not gonna remember it. And like, I think there's a line in that song like, "Who you are is not where I'm from" or something. Like it's like
Yeah,
really
yeah.
confusing, but no, where you are is not where I'm from. And I think what that just means is like, I do not identify with like what the kind of person you are. And like in doing that, I need to move on. So like, don't say my name. And I'm not gonna remember yours. Like it was just like a little bit of like a little punk rock, like F you. Michael, oh yeah, I show me some balls. But yeah, dude. So we were talking about what was it? Please don't say my name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
And the next one is honestly probably my favorite one from the whole album. It was a hard task for me to do a ranking list of your 10 favorite songs because I mean Saucy has 10 songs and they're all so good. I was like that's already 10 of my favorites right there, but like as a whole, I was like I think this is the one that I probably have played the most. Figuring it out.
Dude,
That's
oh,
the
that makes me so happy, man. I think that might be my personal favorite.
oh
That
for
was,
real?
yeah, like it's just like a love song about, like I was in love with this girl and I come from like the butt crack of my city, like I'm like not a rich kid. I came from like pretty lower middle class kind of vibe. And I just remember having a crush on this girl who was like super rich, who was like, you know, and I knew it was never gonna work out because like I was just like this dirt kid. But, you make a song about it. It's beautiful.
Girl from the suburbs, man. That's how you started off too. And also like maybe because I was listening to Saucy a lot in the holiday season and the song reminds me of Christmas now. Like each time I hear it, maybe also because of the riff, the opening riff, it just sounds so like descending, but like it just reminds me like of something to look forward to. Like even though yeah, like things might be tough, stuff might not work out. It's like there's like hope in that song that like that after I'm done listening to it, I'm like, well, I feel better. Like,
Dude, yeah, like the whole song too is just like I don't know, I feel like a common thread is, the acceptance part. It's like by making a song and writing it, you're putting it into words and you're accepting your reality. And I think the narrator of that song, who is me, is like, yeah, like this isn't gonna happen, but it's okay. And that's like what the whole figuring it out is, It's just like it's like looking at the world as it is and saying, okay, well, if it's not gonna work, then it's not gonna work, and that's okay.
yeah, yeah, like there is like a bit of melancholy in it, but like I said, like in the end of it, you get like this newfound hope with acceptance, that just realizing like, well, it's okay if it's not gonna work out. Not everything has to, but you know, something will eventually. And
Yeah.
yeah, man, that's why it's my favorite.
Oh,
Uh,
dude, that's such a sweet thing. I haven't listened to that album in a long time and that song, so yeah, I just totally forgot about that. So,
in my hands, the one that follows next, that one, I just put that. I think you sing at one point what the future holds, and I guess the what I took from that song is like you're kind of just the master of your universe.
precisely. Precisely. Yeah, that's what it is, man, for sure. It's like I think there's like one line where it's like the future is in my plans, but then eventually the line gets to go to the future is in my hands, and it's almost like, yeah, taking control of your life. And I think it's just indicative of like where I was at, 20 years old, just because I think when you're younger, a lot of the time life is kind of just it's forced upon you, like going to school, having to do stuff. So when you become an adult, you kind of have this thing where you kind of go, "Oh wow, I have to make life work." And and yeah, within that, there's massive potential for something amazing or there's massive potential for something awful. So it's in your hands to do that. I think that was the kind of like the tree I was barking up. And I put that song intentionally last on the album just because of the theme. I just wanted it to end with that because it was like a realization.
Yeah, and just like uh, just like in figuring it out, I put that it's hopeful and weary at the same time, because like things could go wrong or things can go great, and like you were saying about the uh life, about it being in your hands and in your plans. It reminded me also of that quote, the life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans.
Hmm.
It reminded me of that because yeah, like you could plan your future, and you could plan on the things you want to do, but it's all up in the air, really. Like anything could happen that could impose on those plans of yours. And
Oh
uh
yeah.
so yeah, it is a good way to end the album with like, um just pretty much saying that, like, yeah, you're the one that's in control of your journey. You're the guide.
Yeah, like that's kind of I don't know if I did it intentionally, but I wanted that to be kind of like the bookend on the album for people that are walking away from it. Like that's like the message. Because I think the album is a lot about things where like there's songs like Figuring It Out and also Please Don't Say My Name and stuff like that where Won't Hide Her from Sin, where you're having these realizations and coping through, growing experiences. But I think that in my hands is more of like an optimistic, open-ended, you know, thing for the future. You're like, the future could be better. You know, it's gonna be okay. And I think like having that as the last song, it's like a springboard for the person who's listening to it. It's like, oh, okay. Like it's all kind of like the messages are all kind of like in that they all kind of funnel into in my hands in a way.
Yeah.
Like I didn't intentionally make it like that, but I think I was just following what my gut was telling me because it's like that song kind of encapsulates the whole thematic stuff of the album. It's like all of the themes are in that.
Isn't that crazy though? Like how, you take this body of work and at first you're not like you said earlier, like uh you're not sitting down somewhere and being like, okay, I want this to have this message, or I want this is what I want the listener to take from it. Like it's towards the end when you're like, okay, this this can all lead up to this. The last
Yeah.
song and the last song in summation of the whole album is like, well, this is what I hope you as a listener can walk away feeling, or hopefully you can you can pick up on what I'm trying to say to you.
Yeah, I think that's there's a lot of albums with stuff like that where like it's kind of like a nice close, you know?
Or like pretty much like you said, like little messages all leading up to like just the big overall one.
Totally. It's almost like an essay, you know? Like, and that's the final paragraph that takes all the paragraphs and it's like, bah, there you go. But but when I was working on it, it was very like, you know, songs, obviously the sequence of the album isn't the way that the songs were written. So it was like just a matter of placing the songs, you know, and I think a lot of it too, the artistry of it is like the internal side of your heart, you know, it just tells you where to put things, what to do, what kind of words to use. And yeah, it's just like following that. I think that's like it's an exercise. Like if you're following that little voice and following your internal, guidance, that's when the cool art comes, in my opinion. You know, it's like almost like getting in touch with something bigger than yourself. That's why I always love meditating because it's like you're getting, you're connecting with something that's a little bit bigger than you. And that's what I love about music too. It's like, it's very close to meditating, in my opinion.
Tapping into the unknown.
Dude, totally. The mystical source energy, the great source. I've made music where like maybe I wasn't as cognizant of that voice. And yeah, I listen to it and I'm not as proud of that music. So it's like, yeah, it's just one of those things where I'm like, oh, I really like the music where I was really in tune with it.
I wanted to talk a bit about Waxing Romantic too. Uh that one, I see that it was released like around 2015. Promises. Was that the one, correct me if I'm wrong, the dude from MGMT played on?
Yeah, so that song, I wrote that song like maybe in 2013. Like the thing with Waxing Romantic was it came out a little bit later, just through because it was like put out through Mexican Summer. So yeah, like it took a while for that album to get made and to get released. But yeah, Promises has James, I think his name's James Richardson, but he's played with MGMT and all those guys. And yeah, we had him come in and he just laid down this piano part that was like perfect. It's just crazy when you're like in a situation where someone just comes in and does it's like first take, perfect. Like, yep, that's the thing. That's what it was for me. I was like, yep.
That's all she wrote.
Well, actually, you know what? Sorry. It wasn't he didn't do piano on Promises. He did piano on Idle By. He
Oh,
did the piano line. It was like do 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 do. That that was like I was like, this is money. Like this is the best thing you could put to the song. But the piano part on Promises is on the extra. I wrote that one. So
oh, okay.
I think the producer George played it because he's like actually decent at piano, but I played it on the original. It's like doo 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 doo. It's like and I don't know the musical term, but yeah. Thing about Waxing Romantic is like I didn't play a ton of the instruments on it. Like that was like it was like recorded in New York City. Lots of big players on it. And I was just like this hillbilly from Canada. I was like, hey, you guys are gonna be playing some songs? You guys are playing some drums on my song. I really didn't have a ton of say in the sessions because I was just so like green. I didn't know anything. So yeah, but the effect on that guitar, I'm pretty sure it's like a phaser or something, but it's really cool. It's like a chorusy phaser kind of thing. She's not afraid to leave. And this was, I think I wrote this about my relationship at the time. It was like I'm being an asshole, you know? I need to stop doing this because I can't afford to I can't afford to lose this person because I've been putting her through such bullshit. Sorry to swear. Those things, yeah, where you're just like, that's a different time in life, you know? I think I wrote that at 23 or 22. So
Wishing away. All I wrote for that is the line wasting my days and another line not enough to soothe my mind.
yeah, that was, I think that song was like a late addition to the album. Like the album was pretty much in the can, and then I just wrote that one. I was like, I like this song. It's like really inspired by Chris Cohen at the time. I wanted to make a song like him. I was like with some nice slidey guitars and some nice drums, you know, just kind of chill, like a mid-tempo kind of vibe. But yeah, I'm trying to remember what that song was about. I think it was just like about, you know, just wasting your time, just kind of wishing about stuff.
There's three other songs that I was wondering like if you could if you could remember a little bit about those. Storybook, The Bread, and Don't Forget.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll start. So Don't Forget is probably the oldest song of that those three. Like I wrote that one even before Saucy, I think. Like I wrote it like a long time ago. And it just was always a song I wanted to record. But I think it's like it's a pretty like weird lyric. It's just like about a birthday party and like it's just about like my present being the best present. And I'm just like it's like got this kind of like bravado to it that I don't really understand why I sang it and why I wrote it, but I kind of love it. But yeah, I wrote that song in Vancouver when I was living there in like 2009. That's like really old. I put that up on MySpace back in the day. And then what was the other one there? So the
The
bread.
Bread.
Yeah, the bread was just about like growing up and getting a job and like because I have a lot of friends who are artists who like try and make a living doing art and then they're getting jobs and just like that transition from like being an artist to being like a functioning person in society is like insane. And it's kind of like the bread is like it's kind of like the money, you know, like all my friends are living off the bread. And it's just like we're trading in our um you know, we're trading in ourselves to be something that we
Mhm.
aren't to just to make money. And is that was kind of like the theme of the song because I was going through it myself, you know, like just working a job where you're like, I have to be something for somebody that isn't me exactly. And then I think Storybook was just like, I recorded that one. It was just like a little demo, but it kind of wanted to make like a lullaby song. Just something really nice and relaxing and cool.
Oh, that's the one that has like piano in it, right? It's just it's only piano.
Yeah, I recorded that one like it's funny for Waxing Romantic, I probably recorded like 30 songs and then that is weird. Kind of the record label picked the songs they wanted. So yeah, there's a ton of demos I have on my computer that one day I'll put them on SoundCloud or something. But yeah, like all sorts of different stuff, all different flavors.
Bittersweets, all I really have on that is that you released it sometime around 2016.
That was like kind of a reaction to going to New York and kind of like making a expensive album. And I just remember being like, it's almost like in Wizard of Oz when they see like what the wizard actually is. They're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have seen this. I was like, I don't want to do this. And I think the album, it's like, that's like a transitional period in my life, you know? It's like just the name, I think I already told you this, but it's like, it's a suite of music. It's a guy who's a little bit disenfranchised, a little bit, yeah, just a little bit bitter. But
And
oh,
it's
sorry,
clever because it's a play on words with bittersweet too. It's
100%.
clever.
That was the vibe for sure. I think like the main thing that I take away from that album is like just it was like getting back on track with like just making art for the fun of it and just like making music because you love it and and like just like the fact that that music lives on and people listen to it is like the most trippy thing ever. Like I just remember getting an email from like it was Apple TV and they said, "Hey man, can we use your song for a TV show?" I was like, "What?" And it was it's like a song I recorded in my bedroom in like in one day. And it's like it's on TV now. Which is like
Wait,
this
which song?
it was Misty Morning and it was the show was called Servant. But yeah, just one of those things where like the music is like people get like they get to it. It might be a couple years later, but they hear it and it just gives me hope, you know. I'm like, yes.
That's awesome, dude. And so it did find its way on the show. Like it's on one of the episodes for that show.
Yeah, it's like just it's there. It's like on the thing. And I just remember watching it going, wow, this is crazy.
It always blows my mind too when I watch like a show I like and it has like a random inclusion of a band that I like. I'm like, what? Like I was watching Breaking Bad and they had the OC's a DOC song on there. I was like, what?
That's cool. Breaking Bad
Um,
had good music.
and also, did you ever watch the show Entourage?
No, I didn't watch Entourage, but that was big. I remember that.
Yeah, same thing. Like they had really good soundtracks and like musics throughout the episode. And I
Yeah.
remember I watched an episode that had this band that I saw live, the Strange Boys. I was
Oh my
like,
God, I love them.
you s- have you ever seen the Strange Boys?
I haven't seen them live, but I got their one album. I think it's called And Boys Club or something, but
And Girls Club, yeah, yeah.
and Girls Club, sorry. Yeah, dude, I love that.
Yeah, I love that album and also the name of it because it's like it's just like bittersweet. It's just clever because their name is the Strange Boys and then dot 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 and
And
Girls
Girls
Club.
Club. Dude, I didn't even put that together, man. Yeah.
Yeah, so they had one of their songs on there. I was like, what the?
Yeah, you're
So
like, deep cut.
but yeah, that's awesome about bittersweets. Um, how you said like you realize that music biz wasn't for you, but you can still proceed in with your career as an artist without like the whole technical I guess not so fun side of it, you know, just how you said being just a true to yourself artist and making the art that you want to make. It kind of like it takes those chains away, it pulls them away, and uh you're more it's more liberating to just I guess do it yourself and be independent.
Honestly, I think it's just more for my what I'm going after. Because when I was doing that, like when I got signed, it was more like, okay, so we have to book a tour and then we have to do a music video and a photo shoot. I'm like, none of this is like what I want to do. Like I just want to record. But it, you know, I feel fortunate though for the experience and the opportunity because, you know, I got to learn that lesson. And Yeah, like and was given the opportunity to do it. But yeah, no, it was one of those things though where you see like how the industry works and it's also like a lot of knowing people and like making friends and like it's a social thing too. And I just was like, I don't really know if I want to do this because like there was like a lot of, pressure to like sound a certain way and to look a certain way and I was just like it kind of just flies in the face of the spirit of making stuff for me. I want to like make stuff unfettered. I want to make it like free of any thought because that's like how I operate.
How about bubblegum? What what was your approach on that one?
Yeah, dude. So the story on bubblegum was like I got diagnosed with Crohn's disease in 2017. And so for years I had felt terrible. And then my doctor put me on some medication and I felt like a new human. I was like, oh my God, I could like live. And I was just living and I was so happy. And I was like, I made that album in that time, where I was like, oh, I'm not in pain right now. This is amazing. And I just made an album. And it was just like very unfiltered, just super. I made it super fast and like super quick, but that like I always look back at it fondly because it was like, oh, that was the album where like I turned the corner, with my Crohn's disease and got medicated and started to understand what was going on with my biology and stuff. So yeah, I always look back at that one fondly.
Reanimated Travis.
Dude, straight up. It's like literally just pills. He gave me pills and I was like, whoa, I feel better.
It'd be funny if they were bubblegum flavored.
Right? Yeah, taking some bubble gum.
They're actually just like Flintstone vitamins.
Yeah. You're like, damn, these are pretty strong, these Flintstones.
Placebo effect.
Yeah, can I get the placebo, please?
And Renaissance, I think I read somewhere and like I believe you've touched on it before as well that like was written around or made around the COVID times. And could you talk a little more on that one?
Yeah, totally. That was like so in between the time of bubblegum and Renaissance, I think it was maybe like five five years. I think Renaissance is just, a collection of songs from that 5 years. And yeah, recorded during COVID. It was like a bit of a darker time for me. I feel like I was having a hard time during COVID, just like not being able to see people and yeah. I was in an odd place, man. Like it was weird. I was like really into like running. Like I was running marathons and like just I wasn't really acting like myself.
During COVID, you're doing that?
Yeah, like just getting really I was getting a bit weird. Like and I was falling into weird like rabbit holes on YouTube and just like getting political and stuff and I was like this isn't me. I don't want to do this. I think what happened was during COVID, like it kind of shut me off from all my friends and like being out in the world and I just kind of like lost touch with reality a bit. And yeah, I look back at that album and I like it, but I'm like, it's almost like a little bit cabin fevery, you know? It's like a guy just kind of trapped in a room, just like making a song. I may have like lost the plot a little bit, but I still think it's good. I like it.
Final thing I did was just compile again like the 10 of my personal favorites from here. Just gonna name them off, and then if you could just include like a little tidbit or like a memory that you have from each song. Number 10 one for me is "Hurts So Bad."
So, okay, do you want me to like do a tidbit after it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That was like I love the ending of that song. I was like I always loved that ending part where like it kind of like rocks out a bit. That was like I remember it. I was like I'm gonna put this on the first song on the album because it's like it rocks. It has a rocking part.
My favorite parts were where you rhyme where that those lines of same old story, please don't ignore me. purgatory. Like just that rhyme scheme is so good.
Oh my God, dude, I think I was talking about a different song. Yeah. Oh my God, dude. I need to like I need to have a snack. Um, you're talking Hurt So Bad. I thought you were talking about Too Hard to Find. Dude, my brain is off.
Too many cokes.
Dude, too many Cokes. Way too many Cokes. Okay, so Hurt So Bad was like recorded in that house I was telling you about, the $800 house. And I just remember I got an acoustic guitar. I got it off of Kijiji. It was like a 12 string. I went out to Stony Plain, which is like about an hour away, and I bought it off this dude and I took it home and I was like playing. I wrote Billy and I and then Hurt So Bad. And then yeah, just like did some like kind of pop punk vocals over it. I was like, okay, this is our vibe for the song.
Number nine, Only Friend.
Oh, so that's off Bubblegum. Yeah. Yeah. I won't say who it's about, but there's a person in my life that is a very bad drug addict, and it's about them. That
Oh,
is the only thing I'll say.
not a very chipper tidbit, but I'll take it.
Yes, I'm really sorry, man. It's pretty dark.
I'm messing with you, man. No. Um, Passing by for number eight. And that one I have a question before you share some, or I mean, I guess it could follow with whatever you want to share about it.
Yeah.
The repetition of the 7 years question, or the 7 years is mentioned in a couple of the lines. So I was just wondering, like, what were you referring to on that?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like a little bit cryptic, but I got diagnosed with Crohn's in 2017, and then I really started feeling the effects like in 2010. So I was actively like in pain for probably 7 years. And and I was misdiagnosed by a bunch of doctors. And
Mhm.
it was like a really like it was like an odyssey to get diagnosed, right? So part of it is that. Like it's like, but then also there's another 7 year chunk of my life. So I just thought it was interesting. I was like, oh, sevens, you know? It's like an interesting thing, you know? Because it was also 7 years since what was it? Yeah, waxing romantic. So I was like, oh, okay, 7 years since that too. But just like a little piece of writing, you know, farting around.
Uh, Speaking of seven, number seven was Lonely Heart.
Yeah, trying to think of like an interesting thing to say for that. I have the original demo of that, and I was like, I still think the demo is better than everything that every version I made. And I'll send it to you because it's like 40 seconds, but I think it encapsulates something special. I don't think I ever got it. You know how I was talking about like the saucy taster chord? It's like
Mhm.
I think it's called the add nine or something, but I can't remember. But I did that with open tuning, so I would add the nine on it on the B string. So it would just be like you play an open chord and it is the saucy chord. And I was like, okay. So then I wrote Lonely Heart on that. And yeah, it just made life easier because you could just do all the notes with one finger.
One finger will change the game.
One finger.
Number six, I went with Good Times.
I remember writing that song and I felt like it sounded, I don't know about you, but like if do you ever have a song where you write it and you're like, I feel like this has been written, you know, like somebody's made this.
Mhm.
But I couldn't find it. So I was like, oh, you know what? I'll just like finish this. But yeah, it's just about those fleeting, you know, those good times and like just looking back at them, just knowing that they'll always be in your mind, or at least, you know, it's a little bit in your mind.
The next one, I it's like a it's like a change from Good Times, where Good Times it sounds like upbeat, and then this next one, number five, it's more like a melancholic tune, but it's so good. You should know.
Yeah, so that one, so I was learning piano and I had like a piano at my house. It was like a Yamaha digital piano. And I was taking piano lessons from my teacher Amber. And she taught me all these cool jazz chords and stuff. And I was just like really into piano. So I recorded like You Should Know and stuff all on that. Like during my piano phase, just doing lots of different seventh chords and like jazz voicings and stuff. And yeah, just kind of that kind of vibe. Also that song very inspired by Chris Cohen as well. Like I wrote it on piano, played it on guitar. I don't know. None of it makes sense.
Number four, I can't change.
One word, bongos.
Bongos, man. Yeah,
Bongos.
bongos do a roll, bro.
I love bongos. They need to be 2024 needs to be the year of bongos.
And so what kind of bongos were they? I'm curious. Like, were they the smaller ones or like
Yeah.
the kind of? Oh, okay.
They were
There's
like the
some like
tiny.
hip. Have you
Yeah.
seen like those hip level ones that are kind of like big?
Yup. Yup. I think my friend has the big ones. I can't remember what the name is, but yeah, I want the big ones. They used to do it in music class. Did you have this in music class where they would teach you the rhythm? They would do the thing was shave and a haircut pepperoni pizza. They would say, shave
What?
and a haircut pepperoni pizza.
All I remember from mine, like in elementary, we used like the little recorder things.
Dude, me too. Me too. Those are crazy. Those were so bad. Like, how do you make that thing sound good? And I just
Oh
remember being like, this sucks.
yeah, they're like they're just like the most cheapest, I guess, flutes, right? It's just in the
Yeah, plastic flute. Playing my plastic flute, and they would like teach you the most like sad song, like hot cross buns. You're like, this isn't even music. This is like just not good.
so number three, hmm, I went with Misty Morning, and I think you mentioned or might have mentioned the last time we talked that like that one you you wrote it like in a short amount of time and and didn't really anticipate how much it was gonna like blow up. I mean, heck, it's even on an Apple TV show now.
Definitely, man. Yeah, I like wrote it in one night. Like I just recorded it all and wrote it all in the same night and then put it up on SoundCloud and then people like liked it. And and then I just ended up putting it on Bittersweets because I needed songs. And then yeah, like the rest is just history now, but it's kind of insane to look at it and see that it has all these people listening to it. It's crazy, man.
Number two, uh, went with another song from Saucy, "Figuring It Out."
Yeah, that one. That one's I guess a little tidbit is it's in 3/4 time. So it's like a waltz. It's like dum cha cha dum cha cha dum cha cha dum. And I just want to do like a different time signature. I felt like it was kind of indicative too of the vibe I wanted. I wanted it to be kind of like soupy and kind of cool. Just a little different.
And number one, what hasn't changed for me is "Did You Ever Notice?"
Yeah. Same, you know the same thing about the piano. That was another one of those piano songs. But very inspired by like Beach Boys, listening to like a lot of pet sounds, stuff like that. Emotional kind of stuff.
And I just love. I'm a sucker for like songs that have like beat changes, or it feels like there's two songs in one. We're talking about the Beatles. They did that with which song is it? The that woke up, got out of bed.
Yeah, Day in the Life.
Day in the Life. Yeah, they did that with that one. And
Yeah.
I just love how you executed it where yeah, it starts out like um in like piano, but then it like transitions more to like a groovy pop song, and it's just a great freaking song, man. The first time I heard it, just remember like, what the hell is this? Why
Thank
why
you
haven't
so
I
much.
heard this sooner?
Well, that one, I think that one's probably the most indicative of the theme of the album. Like it's very simple, like, but the lyrics, I kind of like by design did that. I wanted the lines, like the lyrical lines that have more complexity. I just wanted only a couple. So, and it's like in the should have been part, but it's just talking about, it's such a tiring ride. And then it's talking about to fight the meaningless tide, which is like, I don't know, reading your own poetry out is kind of cringe, but it's more so just like it's coming to a realization that like the way that the world works is kind of incongruous with the way that I want to live. So just being a bit of an angsty, bitter boy, bitter guy.
Yeah, it's cool how like in the middle of this catchy tune, uh you kind of just drop like these deep little nuggets of truth like that, like yeah, it like meaningless tide, like the world does kind of work against us, artist or not, like if you want to do something that like you're passionate about, it's like most of the time because the society that we're thrown into, like we got to do other stuff to fulfill that one.
Well, it's the lyric is like the weight of expectation always taking up your time. It's and the song itself, it's should have been, could have been, would have been. Like that
Don't.
whole, yeah, our society is kind of, it gears us to be like that. Like to be like, oh, I could have been more, I should have been this, I should have been that. At least for people who are like me, I think that are like internally looking within, it's like, yeah, it's just like a really sad thing that like we have to always be subjecting ourselves to this behavior. But it's just part of the journey, like just understanding these things and, you know, eventually pulling yourself out of that mind frame. But those two songs are very like interwoven. It's like the first part of that song is You Should Know is about like the relationship between, a person who's not thinking about how their actions are affecting somebody and that's just taking a toll on somebody. And then I think the second part of the song is like that person marinating in that relationship and just being like, I could have been this, I could have been that. And
Mm.
and it's just like this pointless thing because this person is so unaware, Like they'll never wake up to it. And it's yeah. It's like and it's still I think it's still universally true to this day, like those relationships. But you come to accept the way that things are. Honestly, like I take my opinion for what it is. I don't know anything. But I think being a human it is constantly changing. Maybe not extremely, but you taking little bits of wisdom and taking little bits from the environment that's around you and you integrate it into your path forward, right? But then you do meet these people who are so like they're so staunchly like opposed to any sort of growth or change. And it's just kind of remarkable that it's like we're the same species because these people are so like they're just so like sturdy in their belief of who they are. And whereas I'm more like liquid. I'm not like any one person at any one time. I'm like what the environment demands of me. Like I'm not the kind of person who's like I'm the same all the time. I'm like, no, I'm different all the time. It's It's way more complicated than that.
Gotta adapt.
Well, I don't get it. Like I don't get if people are not doing that, but there are like lots of people who are good at life who just like are themselves. They don't, you know?
If it works, it works.
Oh, 100%. But yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite tunes too, man. I think like that one's just I rate all my songs kind of in a vague way too. Like that song is like about three people at once. It's not like one isolated thing. Like some of it's about, a manager, some about is about a parent, some is about like a certain relationship. But it's like just vague enough to be universal, you know? That's always how I've written. I've never been like, this song is about the time that my girlfriend took a poo. It's like, no, it's like it's different. It's different stuff. Sorry, I'm a little bit, but like,
Um, well, I'm just I'm looking forward to whatever you come up with next, man. I got a little, a little preview of what you're working on, and I can't but be more excited for you. Like, so what's like the direction you're going in? It's just very exciting to see it for sure.
thanks, man. And yeah, like I just want to say to everybody, if you're watching this, thank you very much for, being there for me over the years and listening. And yeah, like it blows my mind that people listen to my music. So yeah, I appreciate you. And I appreciate you too, Christian. Like, thanks for taking the time, man.
Of course, man. Always great chatting with you, and gotta keep in touch. Hopefully get to hear more of that great music you're working on, bro.
Oh, dude, I'm gonna hook you up. I'm gonna send you some stuff. I'm gonna send you some Canadian food as well.
Oh,
I'm gonna send you like a poutine.
poutine.
I'll FedEx you some poutine.
Hey, well, enjoy your noodles, man. And again, well wishes to your lady.
Yeah, I'm gonna just gonna go check up on her now. But dude, always great to chat with you.
Thank you so much, Travis.
Yeah. Okay, we'll
Have a good
chat
one, bro.
soon, man. Yeah, see ya.